My name is Alina K. Vo. I was 18 the first time I told my family I was moving out. Their reaction made one thing brutally clear. They didn't see me as a daughter. They saw me as a joke. It wasn't that polite, awkward chuckle people give when they're not sure if you're serious. It wasn't even the nervous laugh people use to soften bad news. It was full-body, can't breathe, tears in the eyes laughter. The kind of laughter you hear when someone tells a story about falling down the stairs in front of their crush, not when their own kid says she's leaving. My dad leaned back in his chair, slapped his palm on the table, and shook his head like he genuinely couldn't believe how stupid I was. My mother smiled that tight, delighted little smile she reserved for watching other people humiliate themselves. My twin sisters, Ivy and Iris, actually had to put their forks down because they were laughing too hard to eat. Then came the commentary. "Oh, sweetheart, you can't even manage your laundry. You, on your own, you'll be back in 3 days. You'll come crawling back like a stray cat. Honestly, it's a relief, one less problem to feed." They stared at me like I'd announced I was going to colonize Mars, not like I'd made a basic adult decision. So I did the only thing that ever worked in that house. I said nothing. No arguments, no explanations, no pleas for support. You cannot convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. The conversation had started the night before, at dinner. It wasn't impulsive for me. I'd been planning for months, quietly, carefully, putting away every spare dollar, researching leases, setting up utilities in my name. I'd found a tiny studio across the river, actually in the city, not our dead-end suburb where everyone knew everyone and no one ever did anything different. I wasn't asking for help, I was simply informing them. "I'm moving out this weekend," I said, between bites of overcooked chicken. My father set his fork down slowly, staring at me like I'd confessed to a crime. My mother exhaled through her nose and gave that ugly half-laugh. "With what money?" she asked, like she already had the punchline. "From my online store," I said. That was all they needed. My sisters exploded first, choking on their food from laughing. My dad barked out a disbelieving snort. My mom had to cover her mouth like she might drool from sheer amusement. "Oh my God," she wheezed. "She thinks she's some kind of CEO. You running a business? You can't even keep a plant alive. You'll be homeless by next month. People like you don't make it." "Let's place bets," Iris giggled. "I say she lasts 4 days." For the next 2 days, any time they saw a half-filled box in the hallway or my suitcase on my bed, they performed. My father sighed loudly, the world's most disappointed man. My mother muttered comments like, "Take photos, Alina, so you'll remember your little apartment when you're back here broke." The twins whispered and snickered in corners, glancing at me like I was the family clown. They acted like I'd announced I was joining a cult, not renting a place 20 minutes away. The idea that I could succeed without them was apparently hilarious. So I packed and kept my mouth shut. When the day came, there was no grand finale. I zipped my duffel, carried my boxes down the stairs, loaded my beat-up hatchback, and drove to my studio. No big speech, no dramatic monologue, no tearful goodbyes. They didn't even come to the door. The first thing I noticed when I pulled away from the curb was the quiet. Not the heavy, anxious silence you get when you don't know what's next. This was clean, clear. No muttered insults, no exaggerated sighs, no twin giggle soundtrack. Just the hum of my engine and a straight road. The studio was small, a little worn, and absolutely perfect. Peeling paint in places, a fridge that hummed louder than necessary, a view of a brick wall. But it was mine. No one rolled their eyes when I spoke. No one walked past my open laptop and said, "Still playing pretend?" The fear everyone expected me to feel never really showed up, because I knew something they didn't. I already had a working business. Not a fantasy, not a vision board, an actual functioning e-commerce storefront. While they thought I was wasting time on my laptop, I'd been building a brand, setting up a Shopify store, testing suppliers, learning how to run ads, figuring out which products actually moved. It wasn't glamorous, and it definitely wasn't easy, but it was real. I got up early, answered emails, built product pages. I stayed up late watching tutorials, tweaking my ad copy, learning where every single cent was going. I barely left my studio except to get groceries. Slowly, orders started coming in. 1, then 3, then 10. Payment notifications became a daily sound, then an hourly one. About 6 weeks after I moved out, I did something I'd never imagined I'd be able to do before I turned 20. I walked into a dealership and bought a car. Not an absurd sports car, a brand new Hyundai Elantra, blue with that new car smell that feels like a reset button. It was practical, reliable, and mine. No cosigner, no "we'll put it in our name," just my ID, my bank statements, and my signature. That night, I parked it outside my building, took one photo, and posted it online. "First big purchase. Hard work looks good on me," was all I wrote. No hashtags, no bragging, just a marker for myself. 20 minutes later, my phone started vibrating non-stop. Missed calls, message bubbles stacked on top of message bubbles, notifications popping up faster than I could swipe them away. First, a text from Ivy. "Is that a rental?" Then a call from Iris. Then 2 missed calls from Mom. Then, shockingly, a text from my father, the same man who hadn't voluntarily texted me in years. At first, it was all disbelief. Is this some kind of joke? Whose car is that, really? Be honest, who paid for that? I answered one call, from Iris. "It's real," I said. "I bought it." There was a long pause. Then, "With your little website?" "Yep." In hindsight, that 2-second confirmation was my only mistake, because the minute they accepted that I actually had money, they remembered I existed. My mom called next. Her voice had undergone a miraculous transformation, like she'd taken a crash course in supportive mothering. "Hi, sweetheart," she cooed. "We were just talking about you. We really miss you. The house feels so empty without you." She hadn't missed me when I left with my car full of boxes. She hadn't called once in 6 weeks. But now that I had a shiny new vehicle, suddenly there was a daughter-shaped hole in her heart. My dad sent a single text. "Call me when you have a minute." No greeting, no name, just that. My sisters went into overdrive. "You're killing it, wow! So proud of you, sis. How did you do it? You're like actually smart." I knew exactly what was coming. 2 days later, it arrived. My mom called again. Her tone shifted from syrupy to concerned. "Hi, baby. How's business?" "Good. Busy." "You've always been such a hard worker," she said. That was new. "Listen, I don't want to stress you out, but things here have been difficult. Your dad's hours were cut. Bills are catching up to us. It's been really hard, Alina." She sighed for effect. "We just need a little help to get through the month. Maybe $1,800? There it was. I didn't say yes, I didn't say no. I just said, "I'll think about it." That seemed to relax her instantly. "Of course, take your time. We're just so proud of you." Right. An hour later, my father called. "Your mother tells me you're doing well," he said, skipping any greeting. "Good. Family takes care of each other. If you have extra, you should be helping us. That's what children do." The guilt parade was exhausting and familiar. My sisters weren't even subtle. "You should be grateful we put up with you," Ivy texted. "We didn't kick you out when you were a useless brat. You owe us." "You can't just run off and leave us struggling," Iris added. "Money turned you cold." I stared at the screen for a long time. A month ago, I'd been a punchline. Now I was suddenly responsible for saving them. I kept my answer the same. "I'll think about it." In my mind, though, the decision was already made. They were getting nothing. When I didn't immediately cave, they tried patience. My mom sent gentle reminders every couple of days. "Hey, honey, any update? No pressure, just planning. Hope you're eating well. We're so proud of your success." Every message ended with some version of proud or so happy for you, like compliments I could redeem for a smaller bill. Then she escalated. One afternoon, she called 3 times in a row. I let it ring until the 4th. Her voice was shaking when I answered. "Alina, I didn't want to tell you this because I didn't want to worry you," she said, already sounding like she was mid-cry. "But we're in serious trouble." She paused, waiting for me to gasp. "I had to take out a loan a while back, high interest. The bank is demanding full payment." Then I said, as casually as I could manage, "Mom told me about the loan, that she might lose the house if it's not paid back next week." The change in her face was instant. Her smile vanished. Her eyebrows shot up. "What loan?" she asked slowly. "The urgent one," I said. "The bank is apparently—" She cut me off with a tired exhale. "Alina, there is no loan." My stomach dropped. "She's lying to you," my aunt said bluntly. "I told her it was wrong. She doesn't care. She says you owe her and that you'll pay if she scares you enough." She looked embarrassed to even be relaying it. "She laughed about it," my aunt continued quietly. "Said you're young and you'll make more, that it's not a big deal to you." Something cold settled in my chest. "You're not the first," my aunt added. "She's done versions of this to me, to cousins. Always some emergency, always some last-minute crisis. Once people stop paying, she moves on to the next target." I walked back to my studio in a daze. Every word, every tear, every carefully chosen number she'd thrown at me replayed in my head. They weren't drowning, they were fishing, and I was supposed to be the catch of the day. When I got home, I had a dozen new messages waiting. "Please answer, this is serious. Be an adult and help your parents. Are you really going to let us lose everything?" I could have blown up then and there, called my mother, screamed that I knew the truth, thrown my aunt's words in her face. But that would have been too easy for them. They thrive on chaos, on twisting an angry reaction into proof that I was the problem. I wanted something they couldn't spin. So I texted, "You're right, I should help my family. Meet me at the bank downtown tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'll withdraw the cash." The reply was instant. "Oh, sweetheart, thank you. You have no idea how much this means to us." I smiled at my phone. I had a very clear idea. The next day, I got there early and parked where I had a clear view of the bank's glass doors. They arrived 5 minutes before 3. My mom, in her nice blouse, talking animatedly to my dad. My father, looking almost smug. Ivy and Iris trailing behind in new sneakers, scrolling their phones, laughing. They did not look like people on the verge of losing everything. They looked like people on their way to collect lottery winnings. They'd already started spending money that didn't exist. I stepped out of my car and walked toward them. My mother's face lit up like a switch had flipped. She opened her arms as if we were in some emotional reunion scene at the end of a movie. I took a step back. "No need for that," I said pleasantly. "Let's get this over with." Inside, the bank was cool and quiet. I walked straight up to the counter. My mother hovered at my elbow, practically vibrating. My dad hung back with his arms folded. The twins suddenly found the floor very interesting. "Hi," I said to the teller. "Can you check my account balance, please?" My mom's smile wobbled. "Alina, just withdraw what we—" "In a minute," I said lightly. Then to the teller, "Also, can you check if there's an active personal loan under my mother's name?" The air changed. My mother stiffened. My dad cleared his throat. Ivy and Iris looked up sharply. The teller glanced at my mom, then back at me. "Do you have her consent?" she asked. "I told her all about it, the one that's due next week, the one that's going to make you lose everything, right, Mom?" She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. My father stepped forward. "This is unnecessary. Don't involve—" "No," I said, without looking at him. "Go ahead and check." The teller typed for a moment, eyes flicking between screens. Then she shook her head. "I'm not seeing any personal loan accounts under this name." Silence. I turned fully to my mother. "That's strange," I said calmly, "because you cried on the phone about it, twice." "I was going to explain. I didn't mean—" I laughed. A real laugh, short, sharp. "Explain what? How you were going to scare me out of thousands of dollars and call it family helping family?" My dad stared at the floor. My sisters took half a step back, like they wanted distance without being obvious about it. I pulled out my phone and showed my mom the text from my aunt. "She told me," I said quietly. "Everything. You've done this to her, to others. You thought I'd be an easy repeat." My mother's eyes filled with tears. Real or not, I didn't care anymore. "Alina, please." "We're done," I said. I turned, walked out of the bank into the sunlight, and didn't look back. My phone detonated that night. "Misunderstanding, overreaction. We were desperate. You're cruel. You're not really cutting off your own parents over money, are you?" Yes, I was. I blocked every number. Mother, father, sisters. For the first time in my life, silence wasn't something that happened by accident. It was a choice, and it was glorious. But I knew them. Silence wouldn't be enough. People like my family don't stop when you close a door. They knock on windows, they pick locks, they start telling stories where you're the villain and they're the long-suffering heroes. I didn't want the next 10 years to be a revolving door of unknown numbers and manufactured crises. So I decided to give them something they couldn't rewrite without exposing themselves. Real closure. A week later, I unblocked them, just long enough to send one message to the family group chat. "I've been thinking," I wrote. "You're right, family is important. Life's too short to hold grudges. I want to start over and do something nice for all of us. No strings." Then I attached 4 digital plane tickets. First class, 5-star resort in the Caribbean, all-inclusive, airport transfers, the works. On paper. In reality, I'd booked fully refundable tickets, paid for nothing beyond the initial hold, and had already scheduled the cancellations. The reaction was immediate. My mother called within 30 seconds, already in tears. "Oh, baby, I knew you'd come around," she sniffled. "We've missed you so much. This means everything." My dad texted, "Proud of you. This is what family does." My sisters turned into sugar. "We knew you weren't selfish. This is going to be amazing. Best sister ever." They never even asked why I'd gone from "we're done" to "let me spend thousands on you in 1 week." Why would they? Free vacation. They were so eager to believe they'd won that they never stopped to wonder if it was a trap. That's the thing about people who manipulate others. They assume everyone else is as easy to fool as they think you are. I told them I'd meet them at the airport in 2 weeks. "I'll handle everything," I wrote. "Just show up." They believed me. While they spent 2 weeks bragging to relatives and posting cryptic vacay loading stories, I booked myself a quiet trip to a different country entirely. Different airline, different dates, different continent. The morning of their flight, I was already sitting on a balcony overlooking a calm sea, coffee in hand, phone on silent. When I finally checked it, my screen was full. "We're here. This airport is insane. Where are you? Text us your gate. They can't find your name in the system. Did you check in already? They're saying the tickets were canceled. What's going on?" Then came the calls. Messages turned from confused to furious. "You embarrassed us. We stood at the counter like idiots. Do you have any idea how this feels? You humiliated your own parents." I let it run for a while. Then I sent one final text. I figured it was only fair. Lying to family is just what we do, right? Block. This time, for good. That should have been the end. For a while it was. They raged in the void. They sent messages I never saw. Then, apparently, they shifted strategies. Months passed. My shop grew. I added new product lines, hired a virtual assistant, diversified my income. I upgraded from my studio to a one-bedroom with sunlight and an actual view. I traded in my Hyundai for something nicer, paid off in full. Life became quiet, fulfilling, mine. Then, one afternoon, I got a message from an unknown number. It was my youngest cousin, Mia. "I don't know if you want to know this, but your parents have been telling everyone you stole money from them and abandoned the family. They're saying you humiliated them and left them with nothing." I laughed, out loud, alone in my kitchen. I called my aunt. "They're spinning tales," she said with a weary sigh. "Most people know how they are. The ones who don't will find out eventually. You don't need to chase their lies." So I didn't. I didn't confront them. I didn't post my side. I didn't send screenshots. They could tell whatever story they needed to sleep at night. I knew the truth. And more importantly, I had built